One of the reasons I love Batman so much is I believe he is one of the most intriguing and dynamic characters. And it appears to me a good writer has a great time writing for Batman. That's what it appears, just as a fan looking, because some of Batman's stories, you could go from the Court of Owls, which I talked about, which I think I'm going to continue that series and, cover the rest of the Court of Owls. I'll do it over, several videos. But Court of Owls, Hush, The Killing Joke, um, Dark Knight's Metal, a lot of these stories are centered around the Batman. He just makes for really good storytelling. And this was one that I hadn't read. And so I went to my comic book store and I got the first two issues. So, just digging through the bins of Batman Off-World. See if you can see that cover there. It's a pretty good book. I have to say, I really enjoyed reading this. Here's the premise of the book. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. Batman is taking down several gangs in Gotham City, right? Doing his thing, doing his Batman thing, on his grind, making it happen. And so he gets to this one gang and he's like, all right, gonna take him down, gonna do my thing. But they were prepared. But see, they prepared for Batman in a way that he wasn't expecting. And to be honest with you, this, like, when I saw this, I was like, wow, this was like somebody thinking like Bruce Wayne. Like, if Bruce Wayne was a gang leader, this is exactly what he would have done. So what they did, and I just read the first book, so I don't know how everything plays out. They got an alien to fight Batman. How could he prepare for it? He had no idea what was coming, and that alien wrecked him. So what does Batman do? And this is why I think Batman is one of the coolest characters ever, one of the best characters ever. And I love covering Batman. I really do. I know there's a guy I work with. Me and him always go back and forth because he loves Superman, but he does not like Batman. Well, I won't say he doesn't like Batman. He just likes Superman better as a character, but I'm a Batman guy. Batman is my guy. And I think that stories like this, so Batman, again, I digress. See, already getting off track. So what Batman decides to do once he gets, whooped up on by this alien is he says he realizes the flaw in the way he has approached things. And here's his flaw. He is prepared for every known threat on Earth, but he never prepared for threats from off-world. So him being perceptive, he was paying attention. Of course, the alien was monologuing, told Batman where he was from, the Slag Galaxy. So Batman commandeered a vessel. Well, Wayne Industries bought a vessel from Star Labs, a long-range vessel. And this man goes to the Slag Galaxy, gets picked up by this mercenary warship so he can train how to fight aliens. He wants to train in whatever fighting style they have and figure out whatever their different pressure points are, how to beat them. And this is, again, one thing, and this is part of what makes me love comic books, right? Like things like this. Batman is a character that embodies dedication. His dedication is what makes him great, right? A man so dedicated that he faces this alien and he says to himself, you think I'm going to give up? No, not so. I'm not going to give up. I am going to go to this alien galaxy. I am going to get captured by this mercenary warship that, sends people to, off to this, I think they call them Storm Warriors. I got to read it again. I read through it once, and I'm really thankful because I was watching a video from Comics Explain, Rob from Comics Explain, and he was talking with Comics Pop, and they mentioned this story. And when they started talking about the story, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I've never read that. I'm going to go try to find that book. Luckily, my comic shop, most comic shops nowadays, they have bins filled with back issues because, look, and this is another thing. The great thing about the comic industry is even though we're in a bit of a drought where there's not necessarily the greatest books, I doubt that there's very many people out there that have read every book from, like, let's say the 70s till now. Maybe there's someone out there who has, but I doubt it. So there's always a good story out there and some back issues you can go buy where you can really enjoy reading comic books. And I'm thankful for that. There is 80 years worth of comic books out there, American comic books and comic book reading that you can do. So there's always a story that you can find and go pick up on and read. I've recently, and I'm actually, even though I know this is a money grab for Marvel, I'm actually glad that they've started doing this. Marvel has been reprinting older comic books, and every now and again, you'll see one of them in the comic book store, and I've been buying them, some of these older issues, because by the time I started collecting comic books, a lot of these runs had already, been passed way before me. And so I can pick up these older stories, some stories from the late 60s and 70s and early 80s, and I can read some of these things. And some of these stories are great. Stories like the Phoenix Saga from Chris Claremont. I believe it was Chris Claremont who wrote that one. You can easily go back and read some of these things from the X-Men and from other people, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. I'm not a big DC guy other than Batman, so I don't know how DC does with their back issues, like going far back, but I believe a lot of the old Marvel books, if you go on Amazon, you can actually find an omnibus and different things where they have collections of these old books that you can physically buy. I prefer physically buying. I believe you can definitely buy digital copies of all of those books, but I like having physical copies in my hand. Anyway, even the art in this book, I don't even know if I looked up to see who, it's funny. I didn't notice this until now. Comic books aren't necessarily, well, some comic books have in the front, who the artist is. I guess this is a specialty cover, so it doesn't have who wrote it and who the artist is. But the art in this book is super detailed. I enjoy it. And I realize that it's different strokes for different folks, right? Like, I like a style of art that some people probably won't like. And there's other people that like styles of art that I don't necessarily gel with. So I'm going to show you at least one panel from this book. It's done very well, very well. A lot of action, a lot of dialogue. The story behind Batman being in space, I enjoyed this whole thing. This was just super duper enjoyable. And this is the part of comic books that I think is actually on the rise. I know some people think the industry is over, but I want to give you some encouragement. I see a lot of, let's say I see some creators that seem to understand, okay, we just need to get back to good storytelling. Like, all of this other fluff and all of these other things that we're focused on, yeah, all of that's cute, but nobody's buying that. People just want a good story, and they want a good artist to be paired with that good story so that they can follow the dialogue and follow the art and be immersed into this world. And look, with this Batman Off-World, I was immersed. I was like, yo, okay, Bruce Wayne Batman is showing why he is the man. This is why, look, I love Batman, because no matter how you challenge him, you may beat Batman and you may do him dirty, but you can rest assured unless and until you kill him, he is going to learn from that, and he is coming back with a vengeance. I love Batman.